Welcome to Module 8. In Module 8, we're going to focus on getting oriented to some various data collection methods, and you're also going to be completing your literature review outline. So the goals for this module are that you're able to summarize key aspects of various data collection methods, and you're able to identify an appropriate organizational structure for your literature review and create an outline that identifies your research question variables and the sections of the literature review. I'm going to go over the assigned reading in the assignments here in the next pages. For the assigned reading, you're going to have two chapters, Mertler Chapter 5 and Johnson and Christensen Chapter 8. They both cover some similar territory, so I suggest taking notes because you're going to need to know a lot of this information for upcoming modules, and you can kind of organize your notes by data collection method. So as you read, I want you to pay attention to methods that are quantitative versus qualitative and understand that distinction because that's going to be important coming up. And you're going to be required to plan to answer your research questions using a combination of these three methods: observation, interview, and survey questionnaire. So we're going to actually develop instruments for each of those data collection methods that answer your research question. You might also use other sources like test data, checklist, document reviews, or which would be like reviewing student work, etc. So as you read, you want to understand each of the data collection methods and begin to plan how they can answer your research questions. We're going to go into more depth on each of these three required data collection methods in upcoming modules, but you also want to focus on understanding reliability, validity, and triangulation. The Mertler chapter lays this out nicely. And there's a table in the Mertler chapter on pages 158 and 159 that show how to plan answering each question using various data collection methods. And I suggest kind of keeping that in mind, or maybe even starting a preliminary table like that. I also want to suggest reading the case studies in the Mertler chapter because it really puts the data collection in context of action research. As usual, you can use the supplemental resources from the publisher to help you. And then you're going to be preparing your literature review outline in this module. This information was previously presented in Module 7, but I've copied it here again. So I've connected this assignment to the course objectives, and we're making progress towards really being able to critically analyze, identify, read, and critically review relevant educational research pertaining to your research question. So the next step is in the analysis, you're going to be organizing it into an outline. And we've talked previously about organizing your literature review thematically and looking for themes. So when you're writing your outline, you're going to include your 10 research articles from peer-reviewed journals at a minimum. You may choose to include some other resources as well. You're going to organize these by common themes. Ideally, you're going to have about three major themes emerge. You can also refer back to some of our previous work in understanding the literature review overall to understand what the literature review is if you're still unsure. And I also unpacked a literature review in the Module 6 Zoom meeting, so you can review that as well. We've looked at the literature review assignment a few times, and so here it is again linked for your reference. In this assignment, there is a sample, there's the assignment itself, and then there is a sample outline. So you're going to include a research question, your independent, dependent variables, and target population at the top, because this basic information helps put your outline in a little better context for me. Then you're going to notice in the literature review, you're going to have an introduction. It's typically 2 to 3 paragraphs long, and so there's like a topic statement, and then you're going to include some general information like that illustrates why this is important, and Also, kind of a little bit a general preview of the literature review. You want to state your research question and identify your independent and dependent variables in the introduction. So you can kind of modify this to fit your project. And then here's where you're going to be organizing the themes in the body of the literature review. So in this sample, the body, the first theme is English language students. And this is proposed to be about 3 to 4 paragraphs, and you can see the information that I would include in that section, as well as the cited references here. My second theme was after school programs, and it's about 3 to 4 paragraphs as well. And I have some themes that emerged from all these various references that I put here. And then finally, my third theme was after school program effectiveness, which is going to be about 4 to 5 paragraphs. And I've stated some ideas that I'm including there, and also including the references. You'll notice here sometimes I have compound references where there's more than one to support an idea, and that's showing me your level of synthesis and analysis that you're doing as you're reading through your various articles. The conclusion part's pretty generic. You're going to kind of state the general state of research in your area and note any limitations or gaps in your literature. So this could remain relatively unchanged at this point. And then you're going to restate the purpose of your study here, which we already worked on in a previous module and will also be included in the introduction to our overall research plan. That being different from the introduction of the literature review. So the literature review is combined document within the full research proposal, but it's also kind of a standalone document as well. So this is a sample of what I'm expecting to get, including the citations. This sample reference list you submitted in the last module, but is also here just for your reference. And anything that is cited here should be on your reference list. If it's not ultimately cited in your paper, it won't need to be on the reference list. So that's an overview of the outline, which is due at the end of the module. Here is where you submit the literature review outline. And then finally, if you would like to do the module notes for extra credit, you can submit them here. I highly recommend this for this module because there's a lot of information on various data collection methods that you're going to need to know for upcoming modules and also to plan your research proposal. Have a great week this week. I hope to see you at our Zoom meeting.